Hey everybody, welcome to Dying Laughing. Thank you so much for being here. This is my dead dad birthday special. My dad's birthday is today, and he dead. He dead AF. That's right. Anybody out there with a dead dad, listen, it would have been my dad's birthday, and instead of me singing to him, I'm going to be yelling in a pot of chicken. I'm making chicken riggies for the family, and honestly, it tracks. It's right on brand. And today we're going to be talking about what it's like to celebrate the birthday of someone who's passed, a loved one, or celebrate a birthday of a dead mom, dead dad, dead husband, dead girlfriend, and what you do and how you handle it and ways to still make it fun. I know talking about the dead doesn't seem like it could be a fun thing, but it is. You can celebrate your dead mom or dead dad's birthday even though they're gone. Come on, we're all going somewhere one day. Might as well continue to celebrate. And we're going to talk about the weirdness of grieving birthdays. I mean, what do? Do you celebrate? Do you ignore? Do you cry into pasta? I say all the above. I'm going to be celebrating. Sometimes I might feel like ignoring. I'm for sure going to be crying into pasta tonight. Tonight I'll be making the Utica famous dish, chicken riggies. And if you guys have never heard of it, I'll read you the recipe later and tell you a little bit about the history of the dish. But that's what I thought would be a fun thing to do on my dead dad's birthday. It was his favorite dish. And I never got to make it for him. I actually have only made it once in my life, and it ended up being rather delicious. A ton of instructions. So many instructions. Maybe the most difficult recipe I've ever made. I don't really cook too many difficult dishes, but this was definitely a little bit of a challenge. We can just read what it is since I'm talking about it right now. So chicken riggies come out of Utica, New York. I'm from upstate New York. Utica, New York is upstate New York. That's the place of origin for this dish. Chicken riggies are Utica riggies, as the Italian-American pasta dish native to the Utica area of New York State refer to it as. Although there are many variations, it is a pasta-based dish typically consisted of chicken, rigatone, hot or sweet peppers, and a spicy cream of tomato salsa. It is so confusing as a dish because you think it's a vodka sauce and it's strange that it's a cream-based sauce. Now, if you're watching the podcast, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Just a quick little break in the moment of me telling you what chicken riggies are. There are these stink bugs flying all around. New York State has an infestation of these invasive species, the stink bugs. And so I have a lacrosse stick ready to hit them. So if I have a moment of Tourette's, just know I am defending my honor and protecting my life. Back to chicken riggies. It's a really weird dish. It's rigatonis and chicken, and it's a creamy sauce, but it's not a vodka sauce. In fact, that's the biggest mistake. People think it's a vodka sauce. It's just a cream-based sauce, okay? And it's delicious. You make it with white wine. You make it with marinara. Let's see if I can find like one of my favorite recipes of this. Let's do the chicken riggy original recipe. If we're going to go OG, we got to go OG. So an original recipe for chicken riggies is difficult to pinpoint. As a dish, precise origin is disputed. Oh, let me try and say all these words again. An original recipe for chicken riggies is difficult to pinpoint as the dish's precise origin is disputed among chefs in the Utica, New York area where it was invented. Some of the earliest recipes come from the late 1970s. This ain't that old. She's still cute. And early 1980s. Okay, the recipe reflects a style of the earliest versions from central New York, emphasizing wine and cheese sauce rather than heavy cream. Now, this is a different way to make it because the first time I made it, I used heavy cream. I think I might have to do a cheese sauce instead. So your ingredients. Oh God, not a stink bug. Don't put a stink bug in your sauce. Is this like the souls of other people's dead dads flying around and interrupting the podcast? Rigatoni pasta, boneless chicken, olive oil, sweet peppers, hot cherry peppers, an onion, cloves and garlic, dry wine, crushed tomatoes, chicken broth, Romano cheese, butter, pepper, basil, and parsley, either or for garnish. Not difficult. This is a real dish to take on. It's an undertaking, and it's absolutely delicious. So that's what I wanted to do today for my dead dad. And, you know, it's a strange thing to feel light in your heart when someone who you love is gone. But it takes a while to get to that place. And then you fluctuate back and forth, I think, between levity and heaviness when it comes to the emotions surrounding any sort of loss. But my dad, like, he was such a quirky dude, and everyone loved him. Whoever met him loved him. He drove my mom nuts. You know, my mom and my dad separated when I was like 8 or 9, and my dad was always around. They didn't go to court. There was not a custody battle. There wasn't even divorce paperwork. They stayed technically married to make everything as smooth as possible. And my mother had an open door policy for my father after they separated, because she knew in her heart of hearts that was the best move for her children, which I think is super, super unselfish, and really someone who's thinking for their kids and thinking ahead. I thought that was, as an adult, I really appreciate her doing that. It did backfire on her though, because my dad took the open door policy, and being how Joe Peluso was, you gave the man an inch, he took the house key. So often my mom would leave the house, and because my dad lived there for a couple decades, he knew where the keys were. And so if he went over to visit my mom and she wasn't there, he'd let himself in. Yes, he would. He would let himself in. I can't tell you how many text messages I got from my mom being like, your father was home when I got home from work. He was making himself dinner on the goddamn stove. She's like, I divorced him, but I can't get rid of him. I was like, well, you did open the door yourself, Nance. So he just took that and ran with it. He was always over at the house, so much so that even when my mom dated other guys, the rule was, you have to deal with my ex-husband. He is in my life. And that was her prerequisite for any dude that she ended up dating. Dude, well, I say dude because there was only a few of them that were even close to being worthy of her time. But my father was just a gregarious, affable, clumsy man. He was so clumsy. He used to fall all the time. The man was constantly covered in bruises, regardless if he was drinking or not. And full disclosure, I am having a Corona in honor of Joey P because he loved a day drink. Loved a beer on a boat. The man was a man through and through. Big, strong hands. He never wore SPF. He ate meat, and he loved a beer. And I loved that about him. He was definitely a very traditional man in that sense, and worked very, very hard, and tripped all the time. He didn't even have to be drunk. Didn't even have to have any alcohol in his system. Quite often when he fell, there was alcohol in his system, coincidentally. And to that point, ironically, whether it's ironic or not, he ended up getting a DWI when he was 72. Made it all his life with a clean record. Decided, hey, you know what's missing in my golden years? A criminal record. And so he ended up getting a DWI, a dad WI at 72, just a rock star. He was a mush for his daughters. He was a staple at the Change of Pace in Syracuse, New York. It's a bar, like many bars in Syracuse, that are converted from a home, a former home into a bar. And it is one of the greatest places in upstate New York. If you find yourself on the north side of Syracuse ever, go right over to the Change of Pace. Tell them I sent you. Ask them for Joe Peluso special, the vodka smash. Oh, God, stink bugs. My father used to drink out of one glass, and he would have the bartender make a drink in the one glass and add 1 lime per drink. And once the drink filled up with limes, he knew it was time to go home. He was basically Norm from Cheers. A functioning alcoholic. He never got angry. He was never an angry drunk or a sad, sappy drunk. I'm sure he had those moments where he got a little down on himself, but he just was so cheerful and fun to be around. He was equal parts Norm from Cheers and Homer Simpson. He was like just this unapologetically imperfect man who loved his daughters, loved life, and loved to talk to people. He talked to anybody. My father taught me the value of treating people equally. Whenever we'd go out, no matter where we were, he always made whoever was serving us or whoever we were interacting with feel like a human being. He had that gift. So did my mom. And birthdays with him, I was trying to think of memories of his birthdays, and we would all get together. I have 2 other sisters from my dad's first marriage and my dad's first wife, and we all would hang out. I grew up with the idea and the mentality that an extended, quote unquote, broken, quote unquote, dysfunctional family was normal. We were dysfunctionally functioning. And my father was the nucleus of all of that. And so was my mother, because she had such an open heart when it came to his kids from his first marriage, when it came to him and her after they divorced. And there was this blob of a family unit that worked. My dad's first wife, my half-sisters, my mom, my sister, and 17 houses between us all. I thought I was rich. Turns out, no, it just was all the ex-wives' homes and then their new boyfriends' homes. I thought we had like 8 homes. No, we just came from divorced parents, but we felt rich. And birthdays with him, we would all spend the time together. We'd go out to eat, and it was all about food. Even though we weren't huge foodies, I'm a bigger foodie now than I was growing up. Everything we did had to do with food. Food was always the centrifugal force of any event. And that's true for a lot of cultures. Italian Americans, pasta is life, food is life. We'd always go out to dinner. We'd always do the dessert and have the people sing and do the cake and the candle. We'd always get them gifts. My dad was the easiest man to buy for. He just wanted 100% cotton. He wanted to be comfortable. Now that I think of it, I think he had a touch of the tism, because he was very specific about what he wore and was routine about how he dressed. 100% V-neck, tagless Hanes cotton t-shirts, always white. Socks were specific, his underwear were specific, and that's all he wanted. I mean, we bought him fun stuff too. We bought him real dad stuff like fishing stuff and tackle boxes and lures and poles and all of those things, but socks and underwear. That's like what you purchase for a mentally challenged adult. And that's what we would get from my dad, and he loved it. He loved all of it. And I want to do a little roast in peace segment for my dad, because it's his birthday and the nature of our relationship, besides me being the favorite daughter. We all know that, right? That goes without saying. I was the youngest of 4 girls. Of course I'm going to be the favorite. I was most like him. You know, we were 2 peas in a pod. Anytime he tried to discipline me, we talked about this before, I'd be like, that is so cute, Dad. Give me your credit card. I was the apple of his eye, and he was the apple of mine, and we used to just roast each other. I loved ragging on my dad. It was my favorite thing. It was like having a brother. My father was so much fun, and because of that, it was really hard for him to discipline me. My mother had to wear those pants. She had to be the bad cop, and my dad got to be the good cop. So in honor of my dad's birthday, it's time for a little roast in peace. And this is where I just kind of roast him on all the things that he loved. Dear Dad, you loved Amstel Light so much you should have been an ambassador. My dad loved Amstel Light. Also Labatt Blue. Anybody who knows Canada's finest golden ale? I don't even know if that's what they call it, but Labatt Blue. Joey P loved Labatt Blue. And he even loved more than the beer is someone buying it for him. My father loved to have things bought for him. He was such a 2-penny Lenny. He wasn't cheap, but he definitely was cheap. He could somehow remember every war that was ever fought, but somehow he forgot all of his exes' names, which were the biggest wars of his life. Like, he couldn't remember his ex-wife's name, his kid's name. He'd go through 7 or 8 women before he got to your name. Sometimes a golf club would sneak in there too. He would always call people Toots. Boo, that was his nickname for me. Jessie Puts, or Boot, or Jessie Boot. He called his children Boot and Puts. It was just like this upstate Italian thing. He also had an uncanny ability to make everything, every joke, end up in some sort of fart joke. And he would make a fart joke more than a fart joke. The man had a trumpet unlike any trumpet I've ever heard in my life. And he would laugh so hard if he heard someone fart. He was a grown child. He was a man child. A fart, I know a lot of people don't think it's classy and it's unsophisticated humor. Joe Peluso didn't care. Did not care. More roast, well, he was basically the king of a deal. He was the king of a deal, especially when it came to his marriages because he had a couple of them. The man liked a twofer. What can I say? But in all honesty, and probably due to him and how he was, his ex-wives stayed in his life. They loved him till the end and loved him in all of his annoying glory. He would drive them nuts, but they stuck around. They remained friends and stuck by his side until the end. And there's something to say for that, you know? Also, my dad taught me to drive, which AKA means he just let me steal his car. My dad would just let me steal the car. He was a great dad. He was a great dad. Not the same car he got a DWI in. No, it was a different vehicle. He was such a pushover. My dad was such a pushover. Thank you for letting me steal your car, Dad. You were the greatest. You taught me that money grew on trees. You taught me to treat everybody the same. And you also taught me to bring a smile to everyone's face. My dad loved making strangers smile. I talked about this before. It definitely was a skill of his. I don't even know if he knew he was good at it. I think it just was who he was. My mother similarly was like that to people she didn't know. They just were masters at connecting with people and making people feel seen and a part of life. My dad also taught me to enjoy life. My dad was the type of person who would squeeze the juice out of every moment. And whenever arguments would arise or stress or chaos would arise, my dad would just be like, all right, everyone chill out. My dad would just be like, let's calm down. He was a total peacemaker and a fart starter. He was all of those things. He was all of that wrapped into this beautiful package. And I love you and I miss you so much, Pop. Cheers. Happy birthday. You had to go and die? So rude. You'd be like, I don't know, 89 or something right now. Let's see, he was 82. He was just about 82 in 2018. So 83, 84, 85, 86, about 87 years old. But we can't choose when they go. We just have to enjoy them while we have them. I wanted to give you guys a little insight for yourselves on how to enjoy a birthday of someone who you've lost as well. Some insights on how to honor a loved one's birthday if they're gone. So number one, kind of the theme of this episode today, is to cook their favorite meal. Cook it for yourself, even if it's just you. Cook it for friends. Try it alone. Mess it up. Get it right. Perfect it. And cook it for your family. Cook a meal that they loved and enjoy it. And honor that. Honor their presence and their energy and their spirit when you're doing it. Maybe play music that they love to listen to. I know I'll be listening to a little bit of Frank Sinatra when I'm cooking chicken riggies tonight. Little Frank, luck be a lady tonight, as I burn myself with chicken riggy sauce. Another thing is a great tip or trick, a little insight to keep that loved one alive and to celebrate their birthday is to talk about them. Tell stories about them to your friends and even to your other family members. Ask your other family members about your loved one. And if you still have your loved one alive, I highly recommend asking them all the questions you want to ask, even if they feel like a census report or like you're the IRS digging into their personal information. Dig in, ask questions, tell stories about them, keep their spirit alive, keep their legend alive for you and for the people around you who enjoyed that person. Also, light a candle. Get a little woo-woo. It's a Halloween season. Light a candle. Get a Ouija board. Maybe not. Ouija always scared me, even as an adult. Light a candle. Say a little prayer. You know, it's okay to get spiritual, especially when it's dealing with death and loved ones that are no longer here. Light a freaking candle. Go to Marshall's, TJ Maxx. Spark that bitch up. Light a candle. Say a little prayer for dad or mom or sis or your bestie. Keep them alive in your heart. It's okay to do. Everyone says you got to move on. Yeah, you got to move. You're going to move on regardless. But it's okay to also hang on to a little memory of these people. Also, I did this a couple times for each of my parents. Write a card to them that you're never going to send. Well, you can't because they're dead. Write a card to them and say everything you want to say. Say all the things, even if some of it isn't as clean and neat and loving as you'd want it to be, even if some of it's a little harsh. Speak honestly, be authentic about how you feel. Write them a card and tuck it away somewhere. I've done that for both of my parents as a part of the healing journey for myself, going through loss and learning so much about coping mechanisms and ways to alleviate some of the stress and depression associated with grief and loss. Writing to my parents really helped me a ton. So I highly recommend that. Also, donate in their honor, donate in their name. We have done that with my dad here. I'm so grateful for everyone who's listened to this podcast and has helped me be able to have a platform to raise awareness for Alzheimer's and align myself with amazing foundations like Alzheimer's Association of SoCal and also Hilarity for Charity, both charities that I'm ambassador for. And I feel so humble to be able to use that in my father's name and use my father's name as a connection to a horrible disease, but also to show you that even though something might be traumatic, that there can be some good and purpose on the other side of it. So donate or volunteer in their name, volunteer on their birthday, create a foundation in their name. There's so many things you can do. And the most important, I think, especially having to deal with Joe Peluso, is to laugh. We have to laugh. We have to laugh. It is survival. Oh God, gut laughter. I feel it healing me every time I am bent over with my sister laughing about something that happened when we were kids. It's also healing. Do it all. Make it happen. Cook their favorite meal. Share stories about them. Light a candle and get spiritual. Write them a card. Donate in their time and laugh. Laugh as much as you can. And, when in doubt, get a fart machine and count down from 10. If you don't know, now you know. My dad spoke to me through a fart machine. True story. There's documentation of it on a live years ago. That man came right through. I had half a cent to get a fart machine for today, but I didn't. Maybe on another episode. Maybe next year's birthday, I'll get a fart machine. The point is, you don't have to blow out the candles, okay? You can keep their flame alive some way in your life. You can celebrate their birthday. So tonight, for my dad's birthday, I will be cooking chicken riggies like a real Italian, like a real upstate Italian. I'll probably mess up the recipe. I'll for sure piss off my brother-in-law. There's no way I won't piss off my brother-in-law. I'm using all his utensils. He's an Italian-American man, and the one thing I love about him is that he's out there cooking. He's a chef every night, and I will put my feet up and be cooked for. Yes, I will. My sister and I are like, please and thank you. So tonight will be a challenge. I'll let you guys know how it goes, but I will be cooking in the kitchen and making this chicken riggy dish. And that's why we do this, to tie yourself to the people you love, to carry on your heritage and their tradition, and to keep a story alive for yourself, and to be able to carry on any sort of legacy that you need to in order to heal, because healing is a lifetime journey that we're so lucky to be on. And, I have to say that, speaking of being lucky and feeling grateful, this week I am doing a show in New York City for Hilarity for Charity, which is Seth and Lauren Rogen's foundation, their Alzheimer's foundation and charity that raises awareness about the disease, but also raises amazing, amazing amounts of charity for families that are dealing with having to care for their loved ones who have Alzheimer's disease. And becoming a caregiver is so difficult, especially when it's your own family member. Anybody out there that works as a caregiver, I always have such a deep affection and respect for, because that is not an easy job, but especially the loved ones that have to do that for their family members. A lot of people go broke. A lot of people end up going into bankruptcy because it is so expensive. So Hilarity for Charity does amazing work to raise funds for these families that are drowning financially, spiritually, emotionally in this disease. So this week, the week of my father's birthday, I get to do a show in New York City. I'm at the Racket in New York City, October 3rd, and I'll be there with Jeff Hiller, who is my first improv teacher who went on to just win an Emmy this past season for the show Somebody Somewhere with Bridget Everett. I highly recommend watching it, especially if you're going through loss and like shows that have a little bit of heart. It's definitely a dark comedy. Somebody Somewhere, it's so good. He just won supporting actor, I believe, supporting cast member for Somebody Somewhere. He won an Emmy. It's with Jeff Hiller, Michelle Buteau, Alex Edelman, Emma Willman. A whole bunch of us are going to be telling jokes to raise awareness and funds for families to be able to handle this disease financially, just to relieve a little bit of the burden of having to take care of someone you love and watch them succumb to this brutal disease. So I feel really grateful that it's this week of my dad's birthday. I just realized that before I started recording, and I was like, oh, this is a really beautiful, aligned moment. And it shows that even through darkness, if you keep pushing, you can find these little bright beams of light in life. You can find these little moments that make you a part of something bigger than yourself. And I feel grateful that my silly little jokes and my ability to be funny is something that can help families go through something that I went through. It makes me feel connected to my dad. It also makes me feel a really deep purpose in life, and so grateful that all my teachers kicked me out of class and put me in the hallway as a student. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Thank you, Mrs. Zimborski, for continuing to kick me out of your classrooms. I am here living proof that you can not succeed and succeed at the same time. I love you, Dad. I love anybody out there who's dealing with loss and who's looking for a little bit of inspiration on how to celebrate your loved one's birthday from beyond. And I want to know, how are you guys celebrating your loved ones? How are you celebrating someone you've lost? Are you baking a cake? Are you making their favorite meal? Are you buying something that they love for yourself? Or just crying into a lasagna? Email me, Jessimae Peluso, comedy@gmail.com. Let me know how you're enjoying a birthday of a loved one. And just remember that it may be dark, but you can find ways to make it a little bit brighter and laugh through these moments of loss. And I hope that this podcast helps you do that too. So thank you guys so much. Happy birthday, Joey Peluso. Somewhere in heaven, he's hitting on an angel, and he's sitting at a bar, probably asking for another beer and asking to put it on Jesus's tab, because that's my dad, the greatest man ever. Love you guys. Happy birthday. These damn stink bugs.